This episode is brought to you by Wizard of Rocks. Find out where the yellow brick road will lead you. Wizard of Rocks features thousands of pieces and unique varieties of crystals, gemstones, mineral specimens, jewelry, and magical wares. Go check out Knoxville's wizardiest rock shop, located at the Southern Market in the Bearden area of West Knoxville. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 5400 Homburg Drive. Whether you're a collector, a first-timer, or looking for the perfect gift, the Wizard has something for you. Tell them Creative Evolution sent you. Welcome to Creative Evolution, the show that gives artists a real plan for a long-term career. I'm your host, Josie J. Today we are joined by the man once named possibly the most interesting man in East Tennessee. Our guest is Vinnie Vineyard, also known as Funkmaster V, a musician, professional wrestler, paranormal investigator, true crime actor, and independent filmmaker with big and funky productions. In this episode, we dive into how he embraced the bad guy persona early in his career, proving that polarizing an audience can sometimes be the best way to stand out. We discuss why he completely ignores Hollywood gatekeepers to tell untold Appalachian stories like the Cherokee legend of Spearfinger, and why he fully embraces the idea that bad press is actually good press. Finally, we explore his philosophy that everyone has at least 20 bad movies inside of them, and why you need to start making your bad art right now, just to get the crap out and polish your craft. Let's start the evolution. Can we do it?
Don't I ride the funk train?
That's right. We've got Vinnie Vineyard in here with me today. Vinnie, how are you?
I'm good. I remember when I was wrestling, people would occasionally there would be these guys that would call me Funkmaster V. And I didn't know there were so many Italians down here in the South where that Roman numeral V, they would just go with the 5. And the bad thing too about being called Funkmaster 5 too, it's actually a better name. It makes me sound like I'm like a dancing robot or something. The Funkmaster 5 is here from Japan. It's going to break down at the electric slide.
It definitely does sound like that, doesn't it?
It's a better name. That's why it probably annoyed me so much.
So you are an actor, a writer, director, wrestler, and a politician. Let's just start from the very beginning. Vinnie, tell us about you. Tell us where you're from, the things you do, how you got here. Tell us all about it.
Well, a lot of it's classified, so I'm going to have to redact a lot of this, so beep, beep. And then I was like, beep, and then she said, beep. I was born in Funk City 2049, the future. It's a really crazy place. Everybody's got beanbag chairs and I don't know. There's a lot of free love and stuff. Now, I was born in Baltimore, and I lived up there for a very short amount of time and moved down to East Tennessee. I was in Knoxville for a long time. So grew up really, especially when we were up there, very poor. But so we moved down to Tennessee, and that was always, I never felt home down here, but I also like Tennessee quite a bit. But I always kind of felt like there's part of me somewhere else in the universe. So when it comes to entertainment, I kind of feel like that's a lot of, I've never really felt like I found my place. Even now, I like Tennessee, but I still feel like there was probably somewhere else for me to be. And but you talked to my friend Luke. I think he was here. He was here last week.
He absolutely was.
Yeah, I can still kind of smell this chair. It smells like, I don't know, and undisclosed. But I recognize that scent. But anyway, I kind of feel like my Luke is from Chicago, and he moved down here. He likes Tennessee a whole lot. And I always kind of felt like I like it, but there was, I don't know, this little piece of me somewhere else. So I'm trying to still find maybe where I should be at, but it's getting awfully late in the game for me to change now.
Well, do you think it's like a longing that you feel?
I don't know. It's like I like cold weather. But that goes back to my personality too, where I'm always scrambling with like it. grass is always greener for me. So if I went to the East Coast, I'd eat 3 or 4 crab cakes, and then I'd miss not paying a lot in taxes, and I'd be like, I want to go back down to Tennessee now. I got to pay property tax. I'm a part of an HOA now, that kind of thing. We're in Jersey now, and a guy's got to pump my gas. I'm going to strangle that guy, I've got to go back down to Tennessee, and then he'd come back down here, and everybody's just like, politics, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. I don't know, maybe New Mexico.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Hot air balloons.
yeah,
Those are nice.
Yeah, but I went to school down here, met the love of my life in Tennessee, and a lot of my entertainment background, I pretty much started in radio and music, and a lot of that started out of the church. And I met my wife in church, which was an interesting story. I started in radio. That didn't go anywhere, but I also was doing music at the same time, and I was in a really just terrible Christian rock band. The band was so bad it was called Big Fish because we stunk like a big fish. It didn't get much better, but then it eventually mutated into something called Pimpin' Ain't Easy. So you can tell we kind of lost our way there, but got signed and shelved. I was with 2 really good musicians. We were making some really good rock, but it was kind of the rock that if we worked really, really, really hard and we toured a lot, we might be on the level of Zebrahead. You know what I mean? You ever heard of them guys?
No.
You never heard of Zebrahead?
Never heard of
I gotta get a more. They had like one song that charted at 51. I just feel like it's the same problem I have with Big and Funky right now, where we're kind of serious, we're kind of butt nuts, we're kind of nuts, we're kind of crazy, we're irreverent, we're spiritual. It's like all this mess. So I always felt like our problem with that band was our live performances were insanely funny and entertaining. And then my teenage angst lead singer kept writing these anthems of teen angst anthems. And now, which I still talk to the guy, he's embarrassed by those. I don't know if embarrassed is right. They were great songs, don't get me wrong, but he's like, dude, I can't sing that crap now. It's like I'm 40 years old. I can't sing that jive. So we got signed and shelved, which, I know you talked a lot to Luke, because I heard his great broadcast you had last week. Everybody was listening to it.
Thank you.
I bet Luke was talking about failure. We both use failure the term he uses is fell forward. And that's what we try to do. So it was funny because we'd be in that band and our stage show would be one thing and our music would be the other thing. It was really confusing for us. So when we got signed and shelved, it was one of the things I think I still do to this day is we just kind of rolled with the punches, and we started just playing hip hop and funk songs as a band called Pimpin' Ain't Easy. And that got really popular as 3 white guys because our stage show was very aggressive. Thank God there are no iPhones back then, or none of us would have jobs right now. It was a very satirical, angry, fun show. And I started being a bad guy in the band as the bass player, that we would play a song that would be very sexual and the crowd would be going crazy. And I'd get in the microphone. I'd be like, hey guys, I don't know if we should really play that song anymore. That really glorified, that really, I think that was misogynistic. And everybody'd be like, shut up, what's wrong with you? And the lead singer would be like, shut up, what are you, some sort of... And then we'd play a song about gin and juice or something. And it'd just be, I think that song glorifies drugs. I don't know. Shut up. So I always had this antagonistical vibe, which it's easier to make people hate you than it is to make them like you. So I was good at it too, when I had a funny accent and I wasn't from down here. And then that when I got into pro wrestling, that was what I really leaned into, is making people upset and but being the butt of the joke and still winning the match, and just making people go, "God freaking guy." Yeah, and but and so yeah, self-deprecation, having self-awareness, and it's kind of been my muse and my fuel through all the genres of entertainment I've done through the years.
Yeah. So do you feel like making people dislike you came easy to you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's easier in wrestling. It's always easier to be the heel than it is to be the babyface, and it's easy to get people not to like you. It's hard to make people like you, and in wrestling, a heel's job is to get people to like the babyface. That's their job, not winning matches or doing cool moves or anything like that. So that came natural to me, and I think the way that I come off, I think Luke has this too. There's kind of this we don't give a crap, kind of libertarian, independent way of thinking where we don't kiss anybody's ass and never has.
Yeah.
And I think that can be taken the wrong way. I know a lot of people think I'm really cocky. I'm not cocky. I'm just old and I've done a lot. And I don't need, period.
Well, and the validation there, I'm
Yeah.
sure at this point, you've been through that.
I don't need validation.
Yeah.
I know what I am. I swagger. I have a way that I walk. I have a way that I talk. I'm my own man. I got my own folding money in my own drawer. I got cars that are longer than this house. I mean, it's just the way it is. So I don't need. And again, it's not an indictment of my personality or whatever. It's just I'm not in that thing. And the thing that's cool now though is because Luke and I, even though people perceive us as being a-holes sometimes, because we like having fun with that perception, there's nobody sweeter than Luke. There's nobody nicer of a guy. He said on his show, because I listened to it, it was awesome as hell. You guys need to listen to the old archives. But he said he was a dad figure, and that's a good way to put him, is that he's a father. So, I mean, and I'm a father too.
So you mentioned how Luke said that people say that he is very much a father figure.
Who?
Luke? Big Luke, yeah. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him then. What do you think a fan or a colleague, how do you think they would describe you?
I can't wait to fake my own death and then go to the funeral to see, because I really don't know. I think I will probably dress up as a widow that nobody knew about. I'll shave my face and I'll wear something really hot. Kind of like that Brian Noam guy. I'll probably go with gigantic helium-filled balloons. I'll come in a black dress. I'll scream bloody murder. I'll just wail. I'll work on my falsetto.
So let's circle back a little bit. How did you get into wrestling?
I got tired of music. I've said that Luke's heard this before. If Luke listens to this podcast, I hope he is, because I enjoy Luke. But I hope he listens to this. Give me notes if he's out there listening to the Knoxville Community Radio, all the way in Gatlinburg. This is a story some people have heard before, but we got pretty successful, and even though we were technically a bar band, and we had originals, but the originals, like I said before, never fit the vibe of they were serious.
Yeah.
And I even asked the guy later, the lead singer and the guy that wrote most of the songs, I said, why did we never think about doing a Tenacious D, Flight of the Conchords thing? Because we were really funny. And he was like, I don't know why we never did. I know he was young and he had a lot of turmoil in his life. And so you write what you know and to get through things. But in our 30s, we probably could have wrote some really funny stuff. And we did write stuff. So there was a point. So even though we had our own show, we used to do like more Stay in the Time dance steps. We would have skits. We would kind of did what everybody. There's a lot of people now, I'm not even going to say this, but there are a lot of people now who do a lot of the arrangements that we would combine bunches of songs. And I'll go out occasionally and I'll be like, we did that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or, different genres mash up and stuff. But even though we made the show our own instead of just being the jukebox, which is when you're a cover band or whatever. That's the thing you don't want to become, is just a playlist. Even though we did all that, and even though we had some great adventures and crazy sights and sounds, I didn't drink, and I didn't want to cheat on my wife. But so when you don't partake and you're on the road, the only thing that you're really doing is getting a paycheck. And we got to the point where we're getting paid very well, but I can make money in other ways. So I just got sick of it. I mean, I remember we played in front of 400 people in Cookeville. I yawned all show. We went to Nashville. We played in front of 1,100 people on the top floor of Graham Central Station, one of the coolest venues ever before it closed down. I was yawning. Then we played Owensboro, Kentucky in front of like 1,200 people. Big show, biggest show we ever had. I was yawning the whole time. And I just remember Joe Namath said, when you're yawning on the football field, it's time to retire. And at that point, I caught the whiff of pro wrestling. And at that point, I was still in my very early 30s. And I was a judo guy. I won a state championship in judo. And so it came naturally to me. And it took the bad guy persona, and I could use it definitely in a medium that was used for that. And so, or that was made for that type of thing. And, yeah, I just pawned it off because I was like, and so at that point though, I've been successful in entertainment enough that you can go around the local independent wrestling places and they are needing advice, ideas, image help. And I was able to trade training for, I can help you guys get a website and musicians to play songs for TV shows. And I can do videos and edit, and I can make DVDs and do promos that look good, compared to, this stuff that you guys are doing on Betamax, And so they were like, okay. So it came naturally to me, and I was pretty popular for a guy who didn't kiss ass. And that is a world where you really need to kiss ass.
Yeah.
And I never did. And I did pretty well for a guy that wasn't just like, who needed. I didn't need. I already was established. I already knew what I was. I had money, had a house, had a wife, had children that would allow me to beat them. Which I feel bad now that I didn't beat them more, because they really are out of line now. They're like opinionated and stuff. They wear clothes that you're like, what? I should have done more. I'm joking. I don't think children should be beaten.
I really hope that everyone listening hears me giggling and knows that this is all just comedy.
Yeah, I was a stand-up comic for a while too.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I definitely do.
What's funny is I wasn't good, but I did do well, but I stole all my jokes.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was before I knew that was a thing. I just thought, you just did that. That's funny. I'll do that in my own voice. Now I know that people get out there and they're like, George Mencia, you piece of Robin Williams, that guy. And, now you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. No, I wasn't creative. Now the humor that I have now is all based on my crazy life. It's good observation. I'm good at observational humor, and since I've had a crazy life, there's a lot of funny things I can reference. But when I was 20, I was just like, I was doing Henny Youngman, like one-liners, like in the era of grunge, and I was making it work somehow. Hey. Take my wife, please. I went to the doctor. I said, hey, my arm hurts when I do that. And the doctor said, don't do that. I thought that was going to work. I don't know why I didn't become famous for that. That's a good line. Somebody said that in 1942. I was bringing it back. I'm like a song and dance man. But anyway, so with the craziness in my life, and I really wanted to be in radio. That was my thing. And then we've actually made a movie about the true stories about me being in the South. I used to work in Knoxville at the Western Avenue racetrack, where it's a raceway now. That was the number one store in East Tennessee, and there was a lot of crazy things I saw there. there's a movie that Luke and I and the rest of the nutty bastards in Big and Funky we're doing it's a secret, but I'm going to tell you because I just don't give a damn. It's a gas station in hell or in purgatory story. And it's based on the River Styx, and it's actually in the Smoky Mountains. But I'm using a lot of my stories of working all night, the night shift at racetrack. You have a racetrack lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. But there was one night that I had a situation with a used Kotex.
Oh no,
that was a horrible situation, and we're going to put that into the movie too. But that was a situation where it was good I had a gun. Let me just put it that way. I always carried a piece, mother of pearl, always strapped. I always have a gun in my boot, one in my fanny pack, one in my car, one on top of my car, one underneath my car, one in front of my car that just floats. I don't know how it does it. I asked a witch for a favor, and I have a floating gun. I don't have a gun. I don't own guns.
No guns.
I think people should be able to arm themselves how they feel, but I just don't. Guns are to me, I think guns are for pansies. When there's a guy that's talking about guns all the time, I'm like, you must not be able to take a punch.
So if there was one thing about being creative or working in the entertainment industry that you could avoid entirely, what would it be? Aside from guns.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was that question?
If there was one thing about being creative or working in the entertainment industry that you could avoid entirely, what would it be?
Well, money. The money screws things up. It's great to get it. I think artists should be compensated, but I do think it's really made things weird. And I know when money starts to get involved, it changes everything. And being independent is so cool, and you still can get paid. But contracts and things like that have not worked out for me. I always seem to get, signed shelf, talent holding agreement. We're putting a show on Netflix. We get fired from that. It just, also people's bull crap, hopes and dreams. Oh, if we do this for this long, this will happen. And it never happens. So at that point, there was one point where it was just Luke and I was like, we're not going to try to, there is no, we live in a great time. This is the problem with where Luke and I and Big and Funky are, is we're established enough, and we have enough money to where we don't need the pie in the sky dream, because we can do what we want to do anyway. And anybody can do, anybody listening to this, children, if you're listening, you too can be a son of a bitch. But you can do what you want to do with entertainment now, which is cool because of social media.
Yeah.
And there is no control. Like, there are no gatekeepers really anymore. You do have to get lucky. The people who are very successful a lot of them seem like, what, this guy can't even speak without a slur in his speech, or stutter, or he's got a terrible accent, or she's, whatever. But like, they have a giant audience. But there's a curse with that too. If you start getting giant audiences, you need to make content all the time. And I'm somebody that thinks content is the antithesis of art. So if I'm an artist, comedian, filmmaker, whatever I am, whatever hat I'm wearing, I don't need to produce art every day, because you can't.
Yeah.
There's some people that have written who are great artists who, heck, was a Rhodes Scholar, the guy Rhodes, like, no, that's not the guy. I'm so stupid. But there's a guy like one of the greatest authors of all time. Can't remember the name. I'll look it up in the break, because I hate when my brain does this. But he never even finished a book, and they have college courses based on his writing.
Wow.
And so it's like, that guy was considered one of the best writers of all time. People have scholarships in his name, and he's never even finished one thing. And he's dead now, so that's not going to work. Right. Unless we got a couple of shovels and a flashlight. We have somebody can do a seance or something.
Right, necromancer.
Yeah, necromancer. Get him out here. Roll 5 for initiative.
Ooh, yes, please.
And But anyway, but that guy, so I mean, like, you're expected to produce content every other day that's supposed to be fascinating, and nobody's that fascinating. Everybody's kind of pretty boring as hell, to be honest. And so, I hope I live long enough to the TikTok thing goes away and then something more meaningful comes around the corner. I don't know what that would be.
Right.
I don't have much hope for it. It's probably going to get worse. It's just going to get less and less intelligent, and then hey, have a candy. We're not doing a show here.
Yeah, those are actually cough drops. They're good.
Oh, maybe it's because you guys smoke so damn much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was that?
What was that?
Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Was that offensive?
That's good. No.
I wonder why people don't like me.
Why I like you. I voted for you.
Did you really?
I did.
You were the only one.
Just me. I was the lone vote.
Yeah, it was. That was a good time.
I was actually, that was going to be my next question, was you ran for state representative and then for Tennessee governor. What is one risk you took in your career where you just had to do it? Is that one of those times?
Yeah, because I got audited for 4 straight years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so
No, thank you.
they will come to get you, children. There's no hope. Give up the hope. I don't.
Did make you run.
Here's the reason I'm glad I ran. My daughter now knows that you should stand up for what you believe in. And I actually did campaign throughout the state, which is pretty laughable looking back on what I did and going to these towns and talking to these newspapermen and stuff and the questions they would have for me and stuff. And I'm like, this guy doesn't like me. Why is he even talking to me? But she knows now that you're supposed to stand up for what you believe in. And anytime I'm on an internet argument, talking to somebody on social media, which I'm trying not to do anymore because I would be on there 24/7 screaming at everybody, is I can have people who know me go, this guy, somebody's like, what are you going to do? Why don't you do something about it? Why don't you freaking do this if you got so many great ideas? And somebody could be like, this guy literally ran for governor. And then they were like, oh.
So you tried to do something about it?
Well, back in 2018, I ran for governor with, at the time, it was the largest election field in American history. It'd be state, federal, whatever. There was never more people that ran for one office, and it was a concerted effort. It was a bunch of libertarians, Greens, Democratic Socialists, and the pure independents, and a bunch of other people, but mainly it was a libertarian thing, where we were trying to exhibit the fact that in the state of Tennessee, you can't run as a libertarian, a Green Party, Democratic Socialist, Right to Life, or whatever, without an exorbitant amount of signatures. If you wanted to run for whatever, 25 signatures, Democrat, Republican, Independent. But if you wanted to be labeled by your party, you'd have to, I think at the time it was like 33,000 signatures. And then they're going to throw a lot of those away. So you really need to get twice as many.
Yeah.
66,000 signatures. It took me like 3 hours to get 25. I mean, at a place that was designed where everybody sat around and signed each other's petitions. So, I mean, there's just no feasible way.
Yeah.
And so it's a way to keep choices off the table because the Democrats and Republicans don't want any competition because both those parties are inefficient and terrible. And so if there's anything that has like some sort of ideology that's like, maybe we shouldn't make everybody that's in office a quadruple billionaire, they're going to be like, oh, no. And so what they do is they get sued all the time. And they just go, and then the chamber or whatever will look at the motion that, hey, you should have libertarians and Green Party members and Democratic Socialists or whatever have the same access to the ballot, which under the state constitution are supposed to. And they'll just say, That's interesting. Let's move it to next session, which means that they'll bump it and they'll never look at it.
Yeah.
They'll never have to. So it was mainly, I knew I wouldn't win. We were all running together, but it was a movement to try to get awareness. And the good news is, everybody, nothing changed. So that's the story of today. Everything is meaningless. You will soon die. Your favorite food is filled with bad ingredients, and everybody you love secretly hates you. The end. No, I'm just kidding. Some of those aren't true.
Some of those things aren't true,
Yes.
but some of those things are true. We all will die eventually. So,
Well,
you
not
know,
me.
there's that.
I do have a plan.
I knew you were a vampire.
Well, no, that's vampires are evil. I'm thinking of something that's more to do with working on the time-space continuum. Yeah, science. It's big words and
Big
stuff.
words.
I don't want to bore the audience.
You know, big brain stuff.
I've got the inside track, though.
Well, when you create the perfect flux capacitor, let me know.
Well, who says I haven't?
What do you think about listening to some local sound?
Local sound? Like the lawnmower out there?
Oh,
in
yeah.
the distance? Yeah, let's turn that up.
Sounds good.
Can we do it?
What'd you think of that, Vinny?
I'm going to tell you, man. There's a new genre called chill deathcore, ska-influenced funk invasion, a retro combinatious loquaciousness. And of all the genres I've ever heard, that band there eschews that entire genre. You know?
I do know.
It's kind of like Morrissey, if Morrissey was less, and then also like a No Doubt, but also Primus, but in the same way, more than those, but less.
It's a beautiful thing. I knew you would like that.
I don't know what to do now in my life.
So, Vinny, in 2013, the Maryville Daily Times called you possibly the most interesting man in East Tennessee.
They just had to use that word possibly.
What do you think they saw in you that made them rank that, and has that man evolved since then?
When you want good press in the United States, children, certain journalists, men, women, other things that are journalists, mainly men or women, they sometimes accept checks made out to certain denominations of numbers, and the larger the number. Now, it was a hit piece. If you read, what's crazy about that article is you read every fourth word, it actually is asking somebody from Belize to come assassinate me. It was a code thing, and the CIA and intercepted it. So that's what happened. Is that a good enough answer? It was a call for murder. Thanks for bringing that up. No, they, at the time I was running for office, and then I was known to be in a crappy rock band and a better secular band, and I was also pro wrestling, and I think it was the time I started my transportation business, which is called Funkmaster V's Uptown Cabs of Renown. I'm an enemy of brevity. But so the guy just, I don't know, I was on his radar, and he just kind of, he was like, man, you're too cool. So he wanted to do something for me to help my business, I think.
You are too cool.
Well, he was also, you know, it was freelance. He was under a bridge for a few years.
Bless his heart.
Yeah. He was a troll.
Is there something about who you are today that would surprise the version of you that they wrote about?
I'm uglier, older. I'm not doing too well looks-wise. Smell-wise, not so good either. Fashion sense, totally gone. I said that before. This would all be horrifying to the 2013, if you saw the article. I don't know. I like where I am, and I like where I was. I don't know. I don't have anything, you know, I don't. If you would have told me that I would have been on a ghost television show. I would have thought that would have been really cool. Now, if you asked 51-year-old Vinny, I'd be like, whatever. The fact that I'm making movies, that it's being that version of Vinny would have been like, far out, man. That's freaking cool. Yeah, but right now I'm just like, whatever. So there's a lesson in that too, right? You always want stuff and you think it's going to make you fulfilled. But like I said before, what makes me fulfilled is the journey. Not to sound like a live, laugh, love type of terrible proverb, but it really is being with friends and having people try to distract you with drawing on the office radio station stationery. You're trying to give a philosophical point. How many ways can you pronounce that?
A few. So out of everything, the wrestling, the films, the politics, the paranormal TV show, the radio, what is the one thing that gives you the most satisfaction?
Making movies. It's a combination of all. Pro wrestling was great. Playing music was great. It's all been good. It's all been building blocks, But I think making the movies, it's the hardest, and that's probably why. And it's crazy. Like, the one thing I'd like to stress to everybody out there is always, get out there and do something and be somebody. But I've never quit. There was a point making a movie, because this is what happened. I mean, like, we were doing sketches and we were doing small TV shows. And we had a puppet show at one point. I mean, it was on these small little weird stations and paranormal stuff. And Luke said, I want to make a movie. And I was like, screw you. I'm the one that edits. And I was like, do you know when you watch a movie, Luke, and there's 50,000 names at the end of the credits, I will be doing 49,000 of those jobs. You're the idea guy. You write some. You look good on camera. But I'm the guy that freaking edits. I don't want to do it. And so when COVID happened, and then the news came out that all the movie houses stopped. It was like, okay, it's time to go. And that's what sent us on our trek. And yes, it sucked, because I've edited pretty much for the last 6 years of my life. Like 80% of what I do is editing. However, when I get out of the cave and I'm not editing anymore, it is fun. It's been a blast. So, I mean, I almost quit when I was editing our first movie, because it was so difficult. And then this guy who was kind of a charlatan. Can I give some advice to the people that are listening to this broadcast?
Always.
Wonderful. If you are trying to get into the independent film genre, and you want to make movies, and you run across a gentleman, a lady, a talking dog, someone who is in the Christian movie industry, and they tell you with a gleam in their eyes, we're doing a project right now with Kevin Sorbo. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who was Hercules, and he's kind of now a big Christian thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they tell you that, run the other way, preferably push the guy down a flight of steps and run it, because they're always full of insane poo-poo. Everybody in that genre has some sort of project in the work with Kevin Sorbo. So they lead with that as their validation. So he gave me a bunch of technical advice on how to deliver a movie, and it was like reading a refrigeration guide for an old HVAC tech on how to discern if your flux capacitor, thermo detector in your air conditioning on the high side, low pressure, high side gimmick is having too much chlorofluorocarbons. I mean, it was just insane. I was like, they were like 9-letter words, and I was like, I can't do this. And then I realized the guy was full of crap, and I was like, but it was bad. It was, editing a movie is not easy to get it to where it's standard. And
do you do the sound design too?
Unfortunately, yeah. I do everything. Luke is the best idea guy we got. He writes, produces, of course. But when everything's kind of done, and he and I both direct, and when it's everything's in the can, then it's pretty much 99% me. But this last movie, which is a science fiction movie, it's taken a while because science fiction is hard to make it look good because it's not just a horror movie in the woods or comedic thing in a radio station. It's I do have guys who are helping me with sound design and also effects and framing stuff, so that has helped out tremendously. So this new movie, which is a sci-fi horror comedy about the Oak Ridge supercomputer and AI and how human beings are having to fight AI over the sovereignty of art. That's going to be released here very soon. Probably when this airs, it'll probably be already delivered like a pizza pie.
Like a pizza pie.
That's right.
I'm ready for it.
Me too.
Well, you kind of covered my next question. My next question was, if there was one thing about this industry you could hand off to someone else and never do again, what would it be?
Well, editing is funny because I always think at the Oscars and stuff, the editors, you could give me a Scorsese movie and I could ruin it with the edit.
Yeah.
And a good editor could take a bad movie and make it good. Or okay, at least. It's crazy how much power the editor has, and they don't get any of the credit. They always talk about directors and actors and things and writers sometimes, but really the editors, man, good God.
Yeah, they're kind of forgotten.
But you have a lot of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2016, your cab company was ferrying Gatlinburg residents to safety when the Gatlinburg fires happened. Tell me what that night looked like from where you were standing.
It was crazy. Like I said, I keep bringing Luke up, but like Luke and I at that time were pro wrestlers in the area, and we were really hitting with wrestling with ghosts. There was a time when we got fired from Fox on the wrestling show. Nobody would want to do anything with us. And so we went to some friends that Luke had in Chicago, and we started doing a podcast up there called God Makes Beautiful Things. And that kind of got us back on track because we couldn't even get booked as just a tag team. And we never had problems with that until that damn show went south, which is funny. So we were kind of back in the ether, the zeitgeist, if you will, of the people that paid attention to us because we were out and kind of getting a lot of headway for being these sarcastic a-holes. And when Luke saw the fire, because he was working downtown at the time, they weren't shutting down the shops. He saw Ski Mountain go ablaze, and he's the first person we think that saw it. And he started going by door to door trying to free people, or like Paul Revere, knocking on doors to get them away from the gimmick. And if you know anything about Gatlinburg, you could kill the Pope with a hand grenade and it wouldn't hit the AP wire for 5 days. That night on the news, they led with fire reports from La Follette. There was like a dog with one eye that collects buttons or can play tic-tac-toe or something. And then it was the Gatlinburg fire.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the biggest, at that time, it was the biggest fire in 100 years or American history or something like that hit a populated place until that one. It was crazy because we were like, there's a fire in Gatlinburg. And people were like, it's not funny. You shouldn't say stuff like that. And I'm like, we're not lying. But because we were bad guy pro wrestlers, they always thought we were up to something. And I'm like, we're not lying. They're like, it's not on the news. It's not being reported. And so what was really strange was there was a lot of people from that night that started following Luke and I from all over because Luke and there were other people too that were actually reporting video. And Luke went up there a lot and worked. Yeah, I can't believe it will be 10 years coming up. It was wild. People were like, you're a hero. There was a lot of heroes. And again, the police officers, the EMTs, the firefighters, they did much more than I did. They did much more than Luke did. And there were other people who weren't on social media who thought it was important to broadcast this stuff. There were people, I've heard stories all night long about people who were watering down like Smoky Mountain Brewery with a water hose all night long, just to make sure the place didn't catch a blaze. And there was a lot of people doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only taxi cab driver that was taking people to safety. There were a couple people I know I probably saved their life. And that gets kind of strange. But it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. It's probably, I don't have fear unless I'm on top of the roof. I don't like heights. Like I'm tacking shingles back down. I don't like that. But when I was driving into Gatlinburg from East Parkway, and I couldn't figure out why all the cars that were coming the other way had amber lights on. It's like, why are they all turning their headlights off? And then it dawned on me that the smoke was so bad you couldn't see the white lights. You could only see the amber parking lights or whatever they call them. And I was like, this is strange. And then I realized I ran out of the house. I didn't have any water. I didn't have a blanket. I didn't have really appropriate attire. I had no weapons, no first aid kits, nothing to help. Like if anything bad happened. And then a tree branch, it's like the movie Twister. A tree branch came. I was going towards Gatlinburg down East Parkway. A tree branch slid out of the peripheral vision into underneath the tire, and it was on fire.
Yeah.
And I had to slam on the brakes, and I was like, I don't have any gloves. I had to reach in and grab a burning branch out from my car before it set my whole van on fire. It was wild. I mean, it felt like at one point that I was going to be, there was only one way out of Gatlinburg. That night also let me know that Gatlinburg, no matter how many pancake houses and gondolas and chondolas and all these steakhouses and stuff from country music stars, it is isolated.
Yeah.
And there is no help. Getting there takes, I mean, what is the closest thing? Knoxville or Maryville or something? I mean, it would take forever to get out there to help them. And if there's ever a fire again, it would be so easy for just everybody to be trapped. We were lucky that night that it rained, and we were lucky that night it was a Monday.
Yeah. If it had been a weekend, it would have been terrible.
It was already terrible. There would have been a lot more deaths.
So what did you learn from the community during the fires?
The community was awesome. I mean, there was a lot of evil that came out of that. There was a lot of people that made it about themselves. There's a lot of people, like, I didn't charge for taxi rides for like 2 months, and my taxi drivers gave up their pay. But then people started taking advantage of that. Dolly Parton's awesome. So, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, everybody helped. I'm probably the hardest on police officers of anybody. And when cops are really helping people, they're heroes. And same with, everybody loves firefighters, so you don't need to give them any more gloss. But EMT, everybody who volunteered, it was amazing. It's one of those things like that have to happen for the community to feel like it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Christian or Republican or whatever, atheist, whatever. It's about people, taking care of each other. And that's what's, it's awful that things like that have to happen. But sometimes when stuff like that happens, it reminds you that this is what's important is community and stuff like that. And people actually saving each other's lives and saving each other's properties and trying to make their lives easier. And there were a lot of people that ran from the flames.
So you appeared on Snapped, which is not exactly where most people expect to find a wrestler and a filmmaker from East Tennessee. How did that happen, and what was it like to be on a true crime show?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how that happened. Normally, anytime there was a 90s shock jock in a story, and back then all those guys had goatees, I would get picked for that. So I did that quite a bit when there was a lot of radio jocks being murdered by their wives, which apparently happened more than I thought. I remember the first one I did, I was a body, and they took a picture of my body. And after they stopped laughing, I saw it in the episode where they put my torso from the boobs down, my hairy, delicious apple cinnamon oatmeal stomach they superimpose it into a tub, like a thing, so they disembodied this woman. I couldn't believe how poor the quality of Snap was too. There was they kept doing this B-roll of the jury chairs, and there was a couple of them with buttons missing, and I'm like, you couldn't find a good row of jury chairs. I said, this look, golly, man. But they've improved over time. It's okay. Don't ever, this is some more advice. I don't know why I'm giving anybody advice. Nobody needs advice from me, but if you're ever wanting to be in a movie and somebody goes, hey man, you want to be a body? Say no. Because the body is the worst job. You're laying out either in the extreme cold or the extreme sunlight, and you're either melting or freezing to death. You're like, I feel like I'm dying, sir. Just shut up. We got to get this shot in. It's snapped. Snapped. You ever heard of it? Scarlett Johansson watches this. You're staying still. I'm sorry. There's bugs crawling in my nose. You stay still.
Can't move at all.
Can't move at all.
Yeah, that does sound awful.
It's terrible. It's the worst.
I can hardly sit still as it is. I can only imagine having to pretend like you're dead. So did working on the show like that, how did it change how you think about storytelling?
Oh, it didn't change anything. No, it changed what I felt about any experience you do helps you. I'm a big believer in eradicating ignorance. And so, if, you're just like, I don't know how they would do that. And you see it being done. And there are things about Jupiter Entertainment and Snap that is, I'm joking with them a little bit, but those guys work hard. It is a job. Those guys would rather be making movies with their friends probably.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that way that I get to do that. Those guys are doing these things and they're making, they got health insurance and stuff like that. That's what they're doing, and God bless them for it. And it's an everyday job, and it's a bigger production than you would think. There are grips. There's a lot of electrical equipment, a lot of costuming, a lot of producers, insufferable actors. You're back there with the actors. We're all just, none of us has a line. We're sitting there on Snap, and somebody's like, oh, I'm on a YouTube channel where we're doing Shakespeare, but we're actually rapping Christian rap lyrics. And you're like, I want to get out of this room. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And so everybody's trying to impress each other. Like, I was on Guardians of the Galaxy. I was next to a footstool, and Chris Pratt, they said he was going to be there that day. He wasn't, but if he was, oh man, that's awesome, dude. So you have to put up with that. You should get hazard pay for putting up with the actors.
As an actor.
As an actor, yeah.
As the body.
Yeah.
and the actor.
No, I've done things. I've shot pool. Luke likes the one where somebody comes in with a shotgun and I do this face. That made it like an extra long, elongated, like, oh, my face is about to be shot off. Everybody who knew me watched that through the remote control. They were laughing so hard. But yeah, it's good times.
So what is one thing you know about the business side of being a creative that you wish someone had told you before you learned it the hard way?
Before I learned it the hard way? I don't know. That's a good question. I wish, again, it's like these questions are tough because they kind of make you who you are in a way. Like, I kind of wish I started making movies when I was in my 20s. But I learned so much being in radio, in touring the Southeast and the Midwest in a band. I wouldn't have found Luke or any of my friends with Big and Funky. I wouldn't have been in any of the Ghost experiences. So I wouldn't have this pantheon of Big and Funky history to rely upon. The thing that I wish, this is actually a good answer to this question. It's better than the last one I had. The last one was bullcrap. This is a good question. This is a good answer for this because this is actually true. It seemed like everything I've gotten into was dying. Like, movies are dying right now. I got into Ghost TV. We won a nationwide competition. Luke and Travis, El Gordo Gringo, and Big Luke. We got it. Ghost TV's dead. I mean, right when we won it. And that just seems like, I got into wrestling when I was probably too old. I got into a kick butt rock band when music died, when Napster and Livewire and all that stuff came out, LimeWire, and just totally killed album sales, and so all bands died, R&B girl bands, funk bands, hip-hop bands, anything that had more than one person was dead, country bands, anything. So it seems like I've always been a day late and a dollar short, so I wish I got into some sort of genre that was cresting, but I guess I'm always like, I'm too slow.
I don't know that you're too slow. I think that society is just unpredictable.
Well, I can't predict it, so I wish I could predict.
Me too.
Yeah. Football games, lottery numbers.
What do you think about listening to some local sound?
I've been waiting for 10 minutes for you to ask me that. I can't wait.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Can we do it?
And we're back. We're back.
They're editing me severely. They're editing me. You need to call my wife. Whoever's listening to this show, they're going to edit me severely.
I'm editing him as we speak.
Oh my God.
Copy paste.
I have a cough drop in my mouth. I'm going to click it. It's going to be Morse code and decipher. She's too dumb to pick up that I'm going to do this. Oh, it went down my throat.
The dashes weren't dashes.
It's hard to do with coughed out.
So let's dive back into this. So you saw that nobody was telling the stories of Appalachian legends on films.
That is a good question.
And decided Big and Funky would do it. So what made you ask, why not us, when most people would have assumed Hollywood would get there first?
I think we started making movies before the Old Gods of Appalachia podcast, and I could be wrong about that. But I know we had, with our paranormal show Wrestling with Ghosts, we did a investigation of Spearfinger out in Bryson City, and a lot of crazy stuff happened on that investigation. It's really interesting, and somebody should look up the episode because it's really crazy what happened. So that gave us the idea to do a movie about Spearfinger because nobody's ever even talked about Spearfinger. And back then, this was during COVID, if you put in Google and put in Spearfinger, nothing popped up. It was like 3 people's drawings, but nothing popped up. Now, if you look up Spearfinger, it's loaded, and a lot of the people are imaging artwork and their imagination of what Spearfinger looks like off the girl that we had, Candy, who played Spearfinger in the movie. It's really kind of cool. We've had some sort. Now, here's the bad thing. I'm white, and I don't know nothing about Spearfinger except what I've been told. This is a Cherokee story. They should take it back over. I'm sorry with what we've done to you. But that goes back to the point, though, that there are tons of stories in these mountains that aren't being told. And when Luke and I and Travis and Candy and whoever else would go and do podcasts, they always want to go, what do you think about Bigfoot? Well, screw Bigfoot. Everybody's got an opinion. You can talk to somebody else about Bigfoot. I don't know nothing about Bigfoot. My tag team partner's Bigfoot. That's all I know.
And they have an entire Sasquatch festival every year. So
let's talk about the stuff nobody talks about, like Spearfinger and the Boojum and the River Styx and all these things, like what's happening in Oak Ridge. And there's all these stories around here. So that, I don't know what led, we did the hike, and I don't know if me and Luke or I have this weird obsessive thing. Like I was like, 1 movie's not enough. Let's do 6 movies telling 6 different stories. I guess Luke was like, whatever. And that's what we went with. I don't remember how it got to there, but I was like, there's so many stories that about the South that nobody's telling about. We could do some cool job. And I think we are. And we've got more stories to tell. And some of them are based on our paranormal investigations too, which some have gone out of pocket. And what do we got here? What about them guys?
No, you can edit it out. I remember, nobody knew who Spearfinger was. We still started doing the movie.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there's other people that have started, like doing investigations of things. Because what we like to do with Wrestling with Ghosts is go to places to do a paranormal investigation where nobody's ever heard of it before.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, have you gone to Waverly and Bobby McGee's? I'm like, nah, I don't want to, because what am I going to see there? The same thing everybody else has saw, or less?
Yeah.
You're not going to see more. I want to go somewhere that in video and tape something that nobody's ever seen before and tell a story that's never been told before. So, Luke's from Chicago. I'm from Baltimore. I'm East Coast. He's, Chicago, second city. There's been stories about New York, Texas, Chicago, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Canada. There's nothing really being made. And everything here that's being made is always like, well, let's go over her and kiss my sister. It's like, it's too goofy. Like what they were, the accents on The Walking Dead were killing me. It's like these Southern accents people do. It's just blows my mind. Now, there are some people that talk like they fell off a pumpkin truck or something, but for the most part, man, everybody's normal. It's just, it's the flavor. There's a guy in Knoxville called Howler and Hittin' Hill, and I heard him talk about these dudes from Knoxville, and he was like, the people who settled in these mountains, they crossed over mountains. And there's something about a personality of someone who got away from the East Coast, and they went over mountains to settle. Now, I would like to say this. They also stopped over the first mountain. The other pioneers kept going. They were like, yeah, my packers. We're staying here right. We ain't going to the gold. We're going to stay right here. We're going to grow onions. Yes. What about the gold? That's why we left Boston. Screw that. We're going to grow potatoes. But anyway, but there is something about people that got the heck out and then quickly quit. That's enough. That's our personality. That's what we want to immortalize.
So which Smoky Mountain legend surprised you the most when you dug into it? Was it Spearfinger or was it something else?
I would say Spearfinger is the one that going into the investigation, you think nothing is going to happen and we're just all together in a car and we're going to go walk on a haunted path at 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. and then we're going to eat on the Cherokee reservation. And then it's a crazy story is so we decided to do an episode of Wrestling with Ghosts about Spearfinger because in about a 16-month, 18-month period, there was about 12 or 13 deaths in the Smoky Mountains where people were getting killed by trees falling on them or falling off cliffs or mudslides. And that's all of Spearfinger's MO. And doing investigation, Spearfinger is a Cherokee legend, a lady who was a rock golem who could she could look like she was made of flesh, and she had a very long pointed finger on her right hand that was made out of obsidian. She would use the spear finger, her right pointer finger, and poke into people's bodies and eat the liver. And she can also shapeshift and look like a grandmother or some guy you want to bang, or girl if you want to bang. It depends on how you swing. Anyway, she would shapeshift, get you off trail, boom, eat your liver. And some legends say you would walk around for a little while, a couple of days, and then you're like, does anybody smell ether? And then you just fall off deck because your liver was gone. Now, that all sounds like gobbledygook stuff, right? And we go over to the episode, and I'm wearing my mink coat, and I have my crazy glasses and stuff, and I'm like walking around talking to these natives over there in Cherokee. I'm like, tell me about Spearfinger. So they were polite, but they were guarded because what I realized at the time, it would be like somebody going, tell me about John the Baptist. His head got cut off. Does he walk around on a plate with his head going, hey, I don't feel so good. You'd be like, hey, ease up, pal. So you learn that maybe they don't believe literally that there's the Spearfinger golem running around, but the stories told stories that explain things, like how she died and how the raven is not to be trusted. But I think there was some other bird, and I can't remember this. Swaney did talk to a Cherokee person about this, but it's like a chickadee was the hero or whatever and helped kill Spearfinger at the end. Spoiler alert. So we go out there, and so there's this thing called the Nolan Creek Trail, which is the most haunted trail in North Carolina. Now, I don't know how they rank haunted trails, if there's like an AP poll, like it's college football season. Nolan Creek Trail is predicted to be the national champion this year, and Banks Autumn Trail is rated number 2, the only trail that can take it out. I don't know how you rank a haunted trail.
Right. How do they? Because we
I don't-
always see the articles of
Most
haunted places. How do they?
Yeah, it's like in the coaches poll this week. I can't believe Hell's Dam slipped down to 11. Anyway, so we're going on this. It's like 1 a.m, whatever. So somebody there did say, if you do see orange lights, watch out. And those are spirits trying to warn you that Spearfinger's nearby. Okay, all right. So there was a hand, but it was a hook. No. So the lights flying around, and we capture on camera. There's orange lights. We're on the trail, 1 o'clock in the morning. El Gordo Gringo, which means it's Spanish for the fat American. There's Big Luke Walker, which is English for Big Luke Walker. There's Candy. There's my daughter. There's me, Funkmaster V. And is that it? That was it. So we are there at 1 a.m, and there's orange lights we capture. And we're like, did we see those orange lights? We rolled the camera back, and we did. Okay. So we start walking down this trail. Now, to the right, there's a river or creek that is just kind of bubbling the whole time. Now, you've got to understand, this trail is off a road called the Road to Nowhere in Bryson City. It actually is a road that was going into a town called Proctor, which is now abandoned, and they never finished it. But there's no gas stations, there's no houses, there's nothing out there. There's not a Target, there's not a Dollar General. So we're like, okay, orange lights, here comes the bubbling brook, and we're going by the bubbling brook. Now, we do this paranormal show, but we're not total true believers. We're not idiots. And there's a lot of times when paranormal people go, water makes ghosts come out, and the ghosts like water. You're like, okay, whatever, how do you know that? And so, to me, I've always thought the water sounds, you could hear disembodied voices from water, because water is always kind of lapping and making different noises, and you could be going, it's telling me to kill my dad. You know, and it could just be water just beating all over the rock. But we all heard screams, men's voices, women's voices. And again, we're off a road, we're on a trail off a road called the Road to Nowhere, which is literally 30 minutes. So let's put that anywhere. 30 minutes from anywhere. And so there are no people camping. It was also cold. I think it was in the wintertime too. So it wasn't like it was summertime and people were out there goofing around. And it was freaking us out. And we're just like, what, God, man, what is going on over there? And it wasn't in English when you did hear words. So that was kind of creepy too, because we're Americans. We only speak English because we're dumb. And so we kept going, and all of a sudden, I'm recording, and I hear up in front is Luke, and there's Candy, there's my daughter, and there's El Gordo Gringo, which is Spanish for the fat American. And there's me, and I've got the camera, and I'm in the back. And behind me, I hear Luke's voice go, hey, guys, with his deep baritone voice. And Luke's in front of me, and I'm like, he's leading the pack. He's so brave. And I'm like, hold on, whoa. We stop it, roll it back. Hey, guys. And it's behind, you can tell. And I'm like, that's nuts. Well, we keep walking, and you got to keep in mind, Spearfinger is a mimic, and the orange lights were supposed to warn us. We keep walking. All of a sudden, a strange rock, and Luke is an amateur gemologist, which isn't he? Wouldn't he be? He's just so wonderful. He's so well-rounded. And a strange rock that's not indigenous from that area flies past my daughter's head, almost hits her in the head.
Oh my gosh.
And it hits the tree with the sound of a Phil Necro softball. And it was a ball of limestone, which is not indigenous of the Smoky Mountains, from what I remember. You have to ask Luke. It might have been limestone. So we just had a mimic. We just heard disembodied voices. We just had a rock fly by my daughter's head, almost bean her, and hit a tree and made that pop. We kept walking down the trail, until we keep hearing these voices, and we're getting a little bit freaked out. And we get to a point to where there's a beaver dam. And we're like, do we want to walk across this beaver dam? And we all do, because we're all 9 mentally. But the old people in us are like, I don't want wet socks. So we stop. And we're like, that's enough for the episode. And we're all kind of getting freaked out. As we turn around to go back, my daughter's legs are covered by at least 7 to 8 monarch butterflies, which collectively land on her legs. That is very strange.
Yes.
And I don't know nothing about paranormal stuff. I know that everybody that thinks they do think that's significant. They're all like, well, that means the Eastern Star of Muhammad has come down, and everyone that prays to the potato tribe of the Cherokee, that is a way for them to... I don't know what they say this stuff to me, and it just goes over my head. It's like gibberish. But apparently that's a big, crazy thing.
Well, it's definitely not a normal thing that happened.
Right. So, but the crazy thing, this is verifiable. From that point all the way back to the car, when we were passing that brook, we didn't hear one voice, one scream, nothing coming from that brook. And the whole energy had lifted at that point. Like it was kind of like when you're around stuff that's going on, it's paranormal. There's kind of like this mist vibe. It was like a bunch of knuckleheads walking in the wood. Yeah, it's just a bunch of friends hiking, just like we did the other days. Yeah, it was just like, kumbaya up the street.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible.
I made all of that up just now. You're so stupid. What is wrong with you? You believe anything. Then the devil came out of the ground, Josie. He looked at me and he was going, I'm going to stick you with this pitchfork, you bastards. I was like, don't do it for the love of Christ.
I should have known you were lying when it came to the butterflies.
No, that all happened. I'm lying about lying. I'm getting that about that $2. The $2?
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. I'd really love to go investigating. I would love to go hunting for ghosts.
If we finish this movie, we're going to have a celebration and hike to a place called the Devil's Trample Ground, where no vegetation grows in a circle.
I think I've seen videos about that.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
That sounds like a cool place to go.
We're running out of the best places.
So in one sentence, what do you think is the real key to making it as an independent creative today?
At my age right now, I would just say, this is going to be a long sentence. I just realized this, comma, paragraph, semicolon. At this point in my life, I would just say that the success is seriously the journey to whatever destination you have. To expound upon that sentence or series of small sentences or whatever that was, you can't, your destination can't be happiness. You'll never get there. Your destination has to be something, whether it's excellence, love, fulfillment, whatever. Happiness comes along the way.
Yeah.
And realizing that you're in the good old days. In 20 years, we won't be able to pick people up over our heads and throw them down and beat the crap out of them and wrestle dogs and make crazy horror movies and climb into caves to shoot. We won't be able to do that. These are the glory days.
Yeah.
Recognize that you're in them now, and whatever the product is, great. But it's really about the journey.
Yeah.
And besides a few hundred movies, besides a few hundred songs, besides a few dozen pieces of artwork, we all kind of blend in the middle.
Yeah.
As an artist, it's like, you can name 25 paintings that are famous. Can you name 1,000? No. You could probably name 500 famous songs. Can you name 5,000 with all these bands? No, you can't. It's just have to understand that the what's important is that you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's a long sentence with a lot of colons and semicolons.
You definitely drove the point home, which I appreciate. I think we have one last listening break, and then I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Oh, my God.
Here we go.
Let's listen to that local sound.
Yes, more of it.
Can we do it?
Welcome back. Welcome back. All right.
Was that some local sound?
That was the local sound. I know. You felt it in your bones.
God almighty.
So it's been absolutely wonderful having you here. And to thank you, I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Oh my God.
Yes, I know. I know. So, for those of you who do not know, the hot seat is a quick answer game. I will ask the questions and Vinny will answer as quickly as humanly possible.
Let's go.
Funkmaster V or Vinnie Vineyard, which one are you when nobody is watching?
Probably Funkmaster V.
Wrestler or politician, which role taught you more about people?
Politician.
Horror or comedy, if you can only make one for the rest of your life?
Comedy.
The Hike, WJHCAM, or Camp Smokey, your personal favorite, and why in 5 words?
WJHCAM, because it be so good.
Baltimore or East Tennessee, which one made you who you are?
East Tennessee.
On stage, in the ring, or on set directing?
In the ring.
Or wrestling with ghosts, which one has gotten you the most questions at parties?
Wrestling with ghosts.
Finish this sentence. Success as a creative is
hard as funk.
And if you could leave developing artists and individual creatives with one final piece of advice about building a successful long-term career, what would it be?
This applies to filmmaking, and this is one of my favorite quotes. It's inside of you, there's at least 20 bad movies, 20 terrible films. Start making them now. Get out now. When you're like, I'm not ready, I don't know, just do it now and get all the crap out. And then when you learn the game and you learn the rope, there's something about being involved in the game, in the cycle for so long, and people see that you're struggling and you're doing something, people will come help and give you advice. Eventually, it's like a gym in one of those tumblers, you know, it starts to polish over time, but you got to get out there and work and get in the real world. And just get out there now and start creating now. Don't wait.
I love that.
No.
So tell everyone where they can find you.
Right now, I am at Josie's house next to this table. I don't know how long I'll be here. If you hear this, there's a good chance I'll be gone.
You know, that's absolutely correct.
Check out our movies at bigandfunkyproductions.com. There's links to the streaming services. You can also buy merchandise there, which is nice. And also keep up with what we're about to do. We're about to release a movie called Showdown in Secret City. It's by far our best film. It's about it's a sci-fi horror comedy about the evils of AI and art, the world of art, and how 4 brave filmmakers vie to take down the Oak Ridge supercomputer. There's another film we're making this summer. It's about a gas station in purgatory, and it sounds like it's going to be freaking great. I'm also going to be involved with another movie called Swipe Wrong and something called Who Farted.
Thank you so much for coming and being on Creative Evolution.
Oh, this is not the Tonight Show.
What a fantastic and unfiltered conversation. Funkmaster V is the ultimate example of what it means to build a relentlessly independent career, just like his friend Big Luke. His story proves that you don't need everyone to validate your work, and that true artistic freedom means making the exact art you want to make without waiting for permission. I especially loved his reminder that success isn't a final destination, but simply the journey of doing the work you love with your friends right now. Be sure to check out our show notes to find links to Big and Funky Productions and Vinny's social media pages. I want to give a huge shout out to the incredible independent artists we featured during today's music breaks, Rastafari, Jay Bush, and my own band, Josie J and Dessert. You can find all the links to support their music right down in the show notes. Building a long-term career is not magic. It's about discipline, thoughtful planning, and the courage to reinvent. Take a moment today to identify one terrifying next step in your career. Let go of the need for perfection and commit to taking it afraid. Remember, massive action equals massive results. I'm Josie J, and until next week, your time to evolve starts right now.